For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss the question of a woman president. Welcome, Professor. Do you not think it would be a good thing if we had a woman president of the ANC in the country?
I think it is good in principle because a number of institutions in politics and in the professions are seen by many people as institutions and positions that are meant to be held by men. So it's quite important symbolically to have a woman as president, as a leader of a political party, and a range of other things like that, because many women or young girls grow up and they are told, oh, this is not for girls, this is not for women. And when you have someone as a president, it punctures that myth. On the other hand, we've got to understand that if institutions have been made with the expectation that men will operate there, then if you are going to make a difference as a woman for all women, not just for yourself, you've got to transform the institution. Audre Lorde once said, you cannot break down the master's house with the master's tools. Now, when they had the first democratic parliament, there are actually very few toilet facilities for women, because the expectation was that an MP would be a man. And I've said this before, in the office of the first woman speaker, there was a urinal. And there's another thing, if we understand patriarchal ways of leading as being ways that do not create space for women to advance, authoritarian ways that don't give space for people to develop their own ideas and so forth, you can do that equally well if you're a woman. So it may well be that when you have a woman in a position, that she can be a patriarchal woman in the way she behaves. But on principle, it's very important to have Parliament representative of diversity, of difference, of all the components of the population group, people with disabilities, men, women, young people, old people, and so forth. So I think it's a good thing on principle.
And what is the significance of the Premier League in this matter of promoting the ANC Youth League and Women's League presidents?
The Premier's League, or what is called the Premier League, refers to the premiers of Mpumalanga, Northwest Province, and Free State. And why are they involved? Have they got some special interest in women's emancipation and gender equality? There's nothing in their records to show that they've got this interest. And it seems to me that they have got involved in this because they are thinking of the future. And they're thinking of having people in place who in the Youth League will not cause problems of the sort that Malema caused. So they made sure, if you look at Stephen Friedman's column in the Business Day today, he explains how the threshold to get on the voting list made it very, very difficult for all these people who couldn't stand to become candidates, so that they wanted this chap, Maine, to be made president. And the first thing he did was to pledge loyalty and all these sorts of things, so they know they've got no one who's going to give problems. In the case of electing Batabile Dhlamini as Women's League president, we must understand that the Women's League has not been very concerned about gender equality, feminism, things like that. So, and in fact, at the previous elections, the previous president, Angie Motshekga, said they were not ready for a woman as president. Now, why is there this sudden interest? It seems to me to relate to whether or not they believe that Cyril Ramaphosa can be trusted, because it is said that the tradition in the ANC is that the deputy president becomes president. Okay, it is said that that is the tradition, and they seem to have some doubts about him, and the doubts could well relate to what happens when Zuma goes, because if Zuma serves only 2 terms as ANC president, he is allowed to serve more than 2 in the ANC, but he has to leave office as president of the country, and it may well be that the question of the reinstitution of his charges is going to come up then, because the matter has not gone to the Supreme Court of Appeal yet. It still has to go to the Constitutional Court, and it may well be that some of these things can take quite a few years. And by the time it is over, he may be out of office, and they want to be sure that he will not be prosecuted. They're also worried because if he were prosecuted, it may well be that some of the things that have been going on in these provinces could also lead to prosecutions, because there's a number of allegations of corruption. For example, the Free State website, which someone said could have been made up for 500 rand, cost $1 million or something like that, and there's stuff with what's these people, the Guptas and what have you. And in the ANC conflicts in KZN and in Northwest, there have been deaths. So there's a lot of things that could happen, and they may think that Cyril Ramaphosa cannot be relied upon in the same way as they believe that Nkosazana Dhlamini Zuma, a former wife of Jacob Zuma, could be relied on. And it may well be that when we see Cyril Ramaphosa, every time he speaks, he says what a great leader Jacob Zuma is, and attacks people who attack the president, all of this. It's a sense that he doesn't feel that he's got it in the bag. And we also have the statements of Dhlamini Zuma this last weekend saying that, you know, in the ANC, you don't say you're a candidate, but if they call on me, I will serve wherever I'm asked to serve. It's the usual sort of thing. So my understanding is that the Premier League's intervention has got nothing to do with women's emancipation. It's got nothing to do with autonomous youth organization that will be a vibrant force dealing with issues concerning the youth. All of this is to do with securing the safe departure without further charges of Jacob Zuma.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Crema Media's Polity about the question of a woman president.